Hey guys, so I want to go over today the photo editing program that we're going to be using to make adjustments to the pictures that you're taking and to create your final project for this class. So today is just sort of an introduction of some basic editing techniques in the program, and then we'll go into more detail as we get further along. So, first thing is, I know a lot of you have been working through different ways of getting your pictures onto your computer. Now, for me, my favorite way to do this is I actually email the pictures to myself. So, I'll go onto my phone, I'll open my email, and I'll send those pictures from myself to myself. It'll show up in my inbox. Got my me right there. And this is a great way. All I have to do is click on the picture. It opens up, and this is right from my phone onto my inbox. So I highly recommend this way. If you found other ways, that's great too. So now that I have my photo, this is the one I'm going to be working with today. I am going to download this photo onto my Chromebook. So I hit download here, and it'll show up here. And what I like to do is I actually like to click this show in folder option, because it'll pull up the computer components for me and show me exactly where that picture went. So I can see that it went to downloads here. There's my picture. So when I'm trying to open it up in any other program, I know exactly where it is. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of that, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Photopea.com. This is the website we're going to be using. Now, what I love about this website is that it's very, very similar to Photoshop. It's a really, really powerful tool with lots of options that is really great for editing photos. Especially if you don't have an app on your phone, you can do this on your desktop. Now, what I don't like about Photopea, and this is definitely something to keep in mind, is that sometimes it will freeze, and the only way to get it to unfreeze is to completely log out of the website, and often that means that you lose whatever you've been working on. So what I like to do in that case is I just save often and keep track of the most recent thing that I've saved. So I'll walk you through that, but just something to keep in mind as you're using this program. So to open up my photo, I'm going to go ahead and do File, Open, and you'll see it brings me right back to that folder that I'd been using before. So I can see here, there's my photo. Go ahead and open it up. And now I have it right in the program. So what I like to do is anytime you're saving, you'll do Save as PSD. This is a file type that can be reopened in this program. So if you're working with text, if you're working with lots of different layers, things like that, it's a great way to save it. You won't be able to open that folder, that file type on your phone, however. So if you do want something to post on social media, or let's say you've totally finished the project, you're going to go File, Export As, and export it as a JPEG. I'll go over that again at the end, but it's just good to start saving because of those issues with this program. So here's my photo. Basically, all of my photo editing options are going to be under image adjustments. And this is where we can mess with the color, we can mess with lots of different elements of the photo. Now, there's kind of two types of photos you can do with this sort of program. You can do really subtle changes that give your photo light differences, maybe emphasize one or two things, or just clean it up and make it look more professional. You can also go really crazy with a lot of these options and make it look almost like a cartoon or something out of a sci-fi novel. So you can really pick how you want to do it. For this week, I want you to actually try both. So I want you to do one photo with really simple, basic, clean it up, professional looking adjustments, and one photo with really crazy, cool looking, sort of trippy adjustments. All right, so we're going to go through some of these adjustments that you can make. The first one that I like to use is our brightness and contrast. Now, this is sort a basic one that most photo editing programs will do almost right at the beginning or sometimes automatically. And this allows you to adjust how dark your photo is, add light to it if it's too dark, but you generally don't want to overdo it too much with this brightness. So I'm going to brighten it just a little bit, pull out some of those details. And then the contrast is another one that often gets used and adjusted. Now, contrast either makes your picture look really gray and pulls away the difference of the black and the white, or it really emphasizes that difference. So it's going to make your blacks blacker and your whites whiter. So I actually really like pretty contrasty photos. I like the look of it. It kind of looks old-fashioned. So I'm going to up the contrast on that one a little bit. I'm also going to adjust this brightness just a little bit more so I can kind of start seeing some of those details. Once you like an adjustment, go ahead and hit OK. You'll see it saves here, and then you'll also see that in your history, it's going to add that as a little entry of something that you did. So if you don't like something, you can always go back to that history and get rid of it. So brightness and contrast is going to adjust your light. Levels, curves, and exposure will do that same sort of thing. It's just a little bit more complicated. Feel free to mess with those if you want, but I often just stick with brightness and contrast. Now, this next section really messes with your color. So for example, vibrance, if I pull this up over here, this is going to make my colors either more vibrant, really pull out the colors, or it can almost make them more dull, a little bit more black and white. Now, I kind of like using that lower vibrance. It makes the pictures look a little bit more old-fashioned, but then you can adjust your saturation as well. This will bring your picture all the way to black and white, or it can add more color as you go. So I'm going to kind of find a balance there that I like. Next thing is you can really mess with the colors individually with your color balance menu. And I'm just going through a few of these, but feel free to mess with any of these different options and just see what the effects are and see how they adjust and make your picture look. And I tend to like adding a little bit of yellow to my photos. It's one of my favorite colors, and I feel like it brings out some of the lighting really nicely. But you might find that blue or red is a better adjustment for what you've photographed. Last one is black and white. This is a great one that allows you to really adjust the blacks and the white in your photo, not just adjusting the saturation. So you can mess with that one, especially if you're aiming for a black and white photo in the end. And if you do have that black and white photo, there's this cool option where you can add photo filter. And what this does is you can choose the color and it'll apply that color to your photo. So you can go from anything to super crazy teal to something a little bit more like something we would see in an old photograph. I'm going to go with kind of a brownish color here. And then you can even adjust how much that color comes through. So it can be just a tiny little hint to something that is almost fully saturated. So it's kind of up to you. So I'm liking how this photo is looking. If there was a step that I didn't like, I can always go back to that step and it'll change it back in the picture, and then you're good to go. So with all of these options, you can really go sort of this route, or you can go really crazy. There's even some ones that'll totally invert your picture. There are ones that really let you mess with your color. Hue and saturation gives you some options to fully change what colors you're working with, as well as brighten or darken your photos. So lots of different options you can play with, really an opportunity to just see what this program does. Now, once you've finished your photo, we're going to go back up and we're going to do that Save as PSD option again. So you'll see, kind of goes through, and this time it's actually going to add a number to your file. Since I've already saved it once, it's going to add this little 1 when I'm saving it again. Now, every time you save it, it's going to keep adding those numbers so that you can see what is your most recent file. Now, again, when we want to save something so that we can send it back to ourselves, upload it to whatever, if you want to upload it to social media, for our final projects, this is how we'll need it. But while you're working on it, you'll keep it as that PSD. For final saving, you want to go export as JPEG. Keep it at the highest quality that you can. You'll go ahead and hit save, and then you'll see it save again. So, kind of the introduction to Photopea. We're going to be working with some of these other tools in the future, but for now, just getting used to all of the adjustments that you can do in this program is really going to help you emphasize your photos, highlight different things, and work with them in some different ways.